So we will be starting with the session from Bangalore chapter, Transition into Product Management, which is going to be a session talk by Mansa, who is a senior manager at CloudThing. This particular session will be facilitated by Kedar from Bangalore chapter.
Good morning, everyone. This is me, Kedar Shelat. I'll be the facilitator for today's session. So I would like to introduce you to Manasa, who will be taking us through this interesting session about how to transition to product management roles. I think this is a pretty interesting topic, which is of interest for most of us, in this today's session. So just a quick background about Manasa. So Manasa has about 15 plus years of experience into the IT industry with an MBA in product leadership. She has held various roles into engineering, development, and product management for well-known organizations like CGI, EFI, and Shell. Manasa is a passionate, value-driven, and safe certified product delivery leader with experience leading cross-functional teams and has launched various digital products like data analytics platform, the SaaS platform, and the CRS platform. Well, I think we'll get started. Over to you, Manasa. Welcome once again.
Hey, thanks, Kedar. Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a great Saturday with Agile Network India. So I'm happy to hear and explain some of the things or share my learnings on product management, as it's going to be a hot topic from last decade. So as Kedar introduced me, that is true. What we do currently is more on product management. So yeah, Kedar explained pretty well. So I'll be using the same terminologies to make you more understand like that. And also, I believe we have audience from all over India or beyond India also, and with different experience level, with different technologies or business or anything like that. So I'm assuming and believing that you are all doing great in your roles, personal life in this pandemic also. So as the same thing more on about me, I wouldn't take much time here again, but just to give a glimpse about myself, how I transitioned from full stack developer to product management, like reader to blogger kind, student to a mentor, or listener to public speaker. You might see all these two arrow marks here, which is coming. So it's a two-way. It's not a transition from one to another. You will be continuing with the previous, but still doing the multiple roles related. So similarly, it will help you how to develop yourself learning, because the agile is more about learning and responding to change. And also Prashant mentioned how this network is, or the product or the platform is delivering to the user of learning aspirations, right? So in my journey from full stack development to product management, I have seen 15 plus years, what Prashant or Kedar mentioned, right? So it was like 20 decades back. It was more when you are doing some engineering or anything. What happens, it's more on the service company, the product company kind of hiring happens in your college, or when you listen those words, right? Like Infosys, CTS, TCS are the delivery or the service leaders, and then the product companies comes with all these building the products like that and all, right? So but now the world has changed from service company or the product company like that, but it's what we call now is everything is product. So the product, in the sense, it can be tangible or untangible one. And also what you might have working or aspire to work is also will be a product. So irrespective of your role you played in any part of your organization, you will be delivering a product to them. So how it works, especially when I talk everything is product, right? Nowadays services, the software as a service, that is known as a product. It's no more service company, or you provide a service to your client or a customer, right? You're delivering something, a product, keeping mindset to your customer or a client, if even though you work in the background in any part of your project or a product companies like that, right? So everything nowadays is considered as a product. The service provided from your helper or the any services like farming or anything you have seen in your day-to-day life, it is now called as a product. And service is also a product. The goods what you use to live or live happily, solving your things, that is known as a product these days. And the platform like the Android platform what you're using, building the applications on that and solving the problems for some user segment, now that is called as a platform. If you're building a platform in any manner, that means you are developing a product or you're part of the product development or part of anything part of the product one. The tangible products which already know, which you use in your daily life. Previously it was more on building the applications, right? You might have worked for a mobile or other applications related on any device or machines, for example. So that is also called as a product. So the systems what you use or you see, it is also known as a product these days. And especially the last one, human, we are all products, I would say, because we are helping others to live better. So we are ourselves is a product is what I want to say. And these days it's all about product, the terminologies or the mindset which is giving us to work or live. So that's why I'm talking more on product related. So you will hear a lot more from product. So bear some more time for that. Okay, then you can understand what I'm talking. So as I said, like 20 years back, it was more on service company, product company. But later, suddenly the trend changed to more on digital transformations like IoT, machine learning, NLP. So there were more on new learnings coming. But before that, from when you're working in a service company or a product company, there was a mindset from waterfall to agile, how it transformed, right? How it transformed from previously delivering something to from India, especially like Infosys or CTS. You work for a banking domain, you work for a healthcare, and especially more on the digital changes which happens across the world. You were delivering the part that from India, right? The Infosys, which was more on financial product or the bank related, because in apart from India, everyone has transformed to a digital world, especially in US, Europe, Australia, like that, right? But all the delivery was used to happen from India for that, and we were called as service providers. But now that is called as a product. Actually, it is a product, right? So, and to deliver the different process, it came from waterfall to agile and the safe or the scaled agile. It's evolving in one side of the agile community or the process related one. And later it came up another decade for full transformation using IoT or the different level of thinking of data and analytics, the data engineering concept and all. But now again, it's going back to a different evolution called as product. So they are making people to think like a product mindset instead of a project mindset, how used to happen two decades before. So that is the change which is evolving in all of your organization, or you're seeing the world now, how the India is changing from entrepreneur mindset from compared to last 20 or 25 decades. Instead of using the other products built by other countries, we are building products and we are giving that for that kind of services to the others or inside the India mindset only. How the startup is evolving. So this all come from the basic of the product mindset. So that is what we are going to talk on transition into product management, either from any part of your organization or any kind of delivery you want to do. So I believe most of them you might have used the agile framework for your process and all, right? Now if you see, this is the famous phases of feedback loop which is used in the agile, right? They call that you build something quickly and you measure, and out of that you learn and again you build. That is what we do in the sprint deliveries or scrum deliveries, what we call either a kanban or a Scrum or a safe everything. This is the simple feedback loop what we use, right? I want to associate this with the product mindset, how it works from the product, right? So in the product also we use the same one. If you think the product development which happens is building that, then once you build that, you start to measure whether it is helping the user to use the product for some reason, it is solving the pain points. Then out of that you will learn. So the learn what you learn based on the measuring or understanding the product or the user using the product, you build again, so that this cycle goes on. This is the same agile standard feedback loop which is used for any product mindset to start, to think, learn about the user, learn about the problems, build for them, and measure them whether it is working, and again learn and again build. This is what the cycle is happening, right? When a new organization comes like a startup, they concentrate some problem, they learn the user, they build something, they prototype something, they measure that, and again goes into a cycle. So this is the same logic what is happening, but what is transformed is a mindset, a culture, and different process and framework to use appropriately, and learn quickly and again build and adopt the agile what it says, right? So that is what is the everything is product mindset. I want to start with that so that you can link what I'm talking further for another 20-30 minutes. Okay. So now comes with different types of PM or the product management, right? How the different product management is happening, right? So it's more on internal PMs. Internal PMs means inside the enterprise level, you have some product to build for your HR, for your transport, the cab. You want to build the app to use from the employees for the cab facilities, or you want to do internal products to improve your business, right? If you're owning a business and you want to improve the business things, you will build that and you will make the internal product managers to work on those of the same build learn measure related one. Then the B2B products, if your organization is part of business, and if you look for B2B, how it works, like, right, the Microsoft, Oracle, Salesforce, all those are B2B, right? The business to business one. So where you work and you part of that is kind of a B2B product manager. And this is highly top level what I'm explaining. Nowadays, you will see lot of differences from this, okay? The consumer PM is simple of what all we use the consumer products, right? The Amazon, the Walmart, or the other things of big basket, everything. So that is all more on the consumer PMs, the e-commerce market, how it builds, right? So these are the different types of PMs, what it works. And then the technical PMs, so it's simple thing. If you're from the technical and you want to involve in the same ladder, then it comes the technical product management things, which happens very frequently. And this is more on the technical side, but the other things are part of technical and non-technical related. So this is highly we are tagging as a technical PM because it's more on the technology or the tools evolving day by day with the digital change of the world, right? So who can get into transitions to these roles, right? So I'll be explaining here what kind of easy way to transition into product management if you're already doing that work in a little or as a title. That makes it easy, right? So though they say title is not linked to what we work, right? For example, you might do something, and this is the different debate which happens in different panels or any discussions you might see. But if you're having the title and the experience and you want to look into product management transition, this is possible, and it's easy possible, I would say. First is the business analyst, because the business side is what we face, whether we have a development phase coming in between, and then pre-development and the post-development, which are connected to business, right? So then it is like business analysts have that easy way of transition into a product management world if they are already doing little part of analyzing the business or the user group. So that is the easy transitions. Then the project manager. So the project manager is, I think everyone knows, who manages the project delivery or the whole project life cycle, right? So since now the project is changing to product life cycle, they can easily transition into product management with the correct ways of understanding and developing that experience. Then the development manager, this is more where the technical PMs comes into picture, the types of PM which I talked in the previous slide, right? So here the development manager who is already working towards the business requirements and also helping the team for the development understanding, they have a good scope of changing into a transition into product management side. Then the solution lead, yes, definitely the architects or the solution, if you're building, prototyping something, and you want to do these kind of extra activities of pre and the post part of the solution, then there is a scope for the transitions. The technical analyst, again the same people who always work towards the technical and also little on the pre of the development or the business related one, right? They don't get involved into post, but if they understand all these three things, then it is easy for them. The marketing, the world is more on the other side of development, right? After development man, but they have to understand, coming back to the pre-required or the pre-development, what happens. So that is how they are linked from one to one. So here all three phases are covered for the transitions roles. The UX designer, what we call as the user experience, so they are more on the first phase or the product things, right? So they are also intent to understand end to end so that they can do their job better when they transition into product management. So now let us see why I'm telling this why PM. It's right. I already told how the change is happening from last 2 decades or every decade. The new things comes with, right, as per the changes happening across the world or the user or the pain what the user is facing. So now why we want to do a PM related stuff, right? Or you want to do a transition, for example, or you want to learn about the product management. So this has to happen because the problem solving mindset what we all carry as a person, either at home or office or anywhere, we are facing any kind of problem, there will be a lot of advice coming from everyone. And especially every situations what we face, for example, right, either a personal thing or the technical challenges what we solve in day to day problems. For example, even if you're doing especially I would say the lot of problems, everything you face most of the time for any your health issues, for example, suddenly you got something, you solve that problem with visiting different doctors, taking second opinion, doing something. You will approach ayurvedic, you will approach allopathy, so all those things are kind of a problem solving, right? So here if you're happy to do that and you're continuously doing that, there is a good way to do it better in a product management with the different process and framework, right, the tools what we say. So if you're doing any of the kind of things or aspire to do it more, you have that potential to be a product manager. Then you're looking for a design, so designs is not only what we do at office, right? You design something creatively, and if you're an artist for designing any kind of things, either starting from your career or before career, we all carry some artist mindset or the design mindset to design anything, right? Previously the interior designs were called as more on creativity comes, or the fashion designers, for example, right? So they are all a potential to have a product management mindset, that one. The collaboration definitely where what we collaborate with our neighborhood or with the work. So if you all carry these kind of things, the skills, for example, right, these are the skills what the product management looks. So then you have that potential of non having the soft skills related one, right? So that is what the topic more on the collaboration and the communication part, how we communicate to our children or our colleagues or our stakeholders, so that how it grows, right, our communication skills, or your relationships between personal and professional, how you maintain that. So those are the things the PM looks for. Then definitely the entrepreneurial mindset, because we are all working for a business, so we are all doing something related to business, right? The other aspects of the product management is business mindset or entrepreneurial mindset. You have to think a lot more whether this is viable to the business, how it add a value to the business, right? So it's more on the business related one, right? It's like if you see any things or watch anything, what is the value added and what are the mindset you get from the entrepreneur mindset. So this season is more on entrepreneur mindset, especially in India. After, you might have seen from a decade how the Paytm and evolved and how it led to the user thing or the entrepreneurs to use that product, for example, right? And how the currently the whole India is getting evolved for this entrepreneur mindset with varieties of ideas coming up, from using a temple flowers to making sticks of agarbatis, like that. And how the change world changing in India itself for those kind of entrepreneur mindset. So if you have all these things, then there is a potential transition required, because as you learn new things, you can't do the same thing, right? This is the platform to share the knowledge and learning and grow and be happy and empathize with what we do, right? So that is the reason the YPM slide is more talking about that. So next is product management, how we can get into transition into product management, right? So that is more now. First is like you have to know your customer, the KYC, what we fill from the Aadhaar card. As you know, the KYC for Indians, it's always known as using your Aadhaar card and punching some numbers and getting the OTP, right? That is what. Whoever will ask for KYC, they are asking exactly to know yourself. So know your customers. If you are into a product management, you have to know your customer more. Why, what, and how they want to do. That is what more into knowing your customer. And design thinking, definitely it's more on, as I said, the creativity and designing a system or a solution or solving a problem in the design thinking fashion. So this are the product management skills which you will acquire in design thinking kind of mindset, right? And definitely it has to link for the viability of the business. The strategy, so this is more, you might have seen from your any one of your in your life, right? How different strategy it comes, right? So you might have been now into 20s or 30s or beyond 30s, for example. You might have seen how the strategy is word is used everywhere. Either if you're growing from one level to other, you have to think a big vision or a strategy, they call. Or even we talk more on India politics, everything you talk, right? So the same strategy mindset you have to apply for the product related for your customer, because now you know your customer, and when you build a small thing, how you want to make it to link to a big strategy. That is what it's more on product management skills. So if you have that and how you want to learn those strategy, again there is a lot of tools, process and frameworks, right? The marketing skills, yeah, definitely it is the post one. So in all these four phases of understanding, the first, know your customer, design thinking, the strategy, it's all more on the before the development happens, or then the after development, then comes the marketing, how you want to market your thoughts or your ideas to the user or the customer you have seen. That is more what you understand from the marketing skills. And these days marketing has evolved a lot from offline, digital and everything, how we see the commercial ads and how that marketing happens. So the same whole thing is considered as a product in your day-to-day life with the personal and professional. Again, I want to link that. So that is more on product management skills. So these are the different skills what you will learn when you try to learn the product management transition or understand what is happening in this world. So product management is more on these skills. So if you're already having a little skills, then it's easy to understand and apply in your experience. But if you want, you can even choose one of these areas and master there if you already know all these things. But if you want to do some specialization, right, how we call, you can master one of the area and evolve accordingly. So let us talk more on career paths. So how that change has happened, right? From engineering or your non-engineering part of the careers happens from immediately after your degree level, for example, right? After your 12th and some degrees happens. So using the same concept, how the product management career path is coming, that is the glimpse what I want to show you guys now. And how you can transition into these things is also will be available. So definitely we start when we are doing the degree only, we'll start some internship, which is very common, right? So this is the what intern starts immediately after your thing, and then you will move into associate software engineer. This again depends on the organization. Then the PM, the product management, the senior level, principal level, the vice president level, and what we have now is the product coach. Yes, the agile coach, how it evolved. The similar way, there is a product coach coming up because the evolution is so fast and people are confused. When agile evolved, how the waterfall, and still people see they will be having problems with the scrum, or they will be having lot of postmortems happening for the scrums or the safe, right? There will be agile coach. The same thing happens in this product world. The product coach, that is the things how it is evolving. So you can link how you can think of this in future also. Then the CPO, the chief product officer or owner, then the CEO. So if you have seen most of the product management, the ends in the CEO level, or you will build up your own organization, right? So that is the whole career path. And this is still evolving, and this is in this all career path is coming to all areas of things of pre development, actual development, and the post development. That is nothing but know your customer, the product discovery, strategy, design thinking. Then comes the whole development, how the agile is coming up. Then comes the marketing and measuring that one, and again coming to your learn thing. So hopefully you are linking all my slides with different thoughts, what I'm talking, and how the career path is evolving to come up with the whole thing. So if this is your organization which comes with the development either in the services area or the product companies, that doesn't matter. But now is having the product mindset in this thing and experiencing that and talking and learning is what about the product management thing. So now career path, let us come. We don't have any organization or institution doing this, but you might have seen either IMK, which comes from the product management courses. For example, after engineering, you have an option of rolling different uh, experience and you want to learn these things. There are multiple options. So this, since it's not an starting from the engineering or the CET or the NEET level, how it happens is uh, coming up from the MBA mindset or the engineering mindset. There are a lot of choices to make here. So your two option is to do some self-learning and put that in your experience of your day-to-day job and try to grow in the same organization first as a product manager or transition into product manager. Then you can switch using the same thing. But other ways is doing some certifications or courses. So you have two options, either self learning and doing that experience in that, or joining the certifications or MBA, for example, right, which just Kedar mentioned, what I did after my engineering and MBA in product leadership, right? So there is no advice that you always need to join MBA. So you will read a lot of blogs over that. You have to think whether you have to do some self learning or do it yourself, what we call, right, after this pandemic, or some little certification or MBA. So that is the whole different topic which suits you better based on your current experience, aspiration, and linking to the product management world. So there is no hardcore advice that you have to do MBA, and there won't be why you waste on MBA with of lakhs. Do some self-learning and experience. So only difference here is that you will understand what suits you better, whether you have time and potential to spend learn, or you want to someone help from the coach or mentor. So that is a thing you have to think a lot before you spend your time, energy, and definitely money, because product management is more on business. And definitely, as I said, you are a human, you are a product. Whether you want to do, whether that is viable to you when you are spending time, energy, and money, that is the things you want to do it here, right? So that is what you have to think more. And this last slide, what I'm going to share is more on understanding what should be your next steps if you have understood the product management is evolving, how the world is changing in this mindset, and if you are keen to understand or experience that tasting, right? So everyone talks more on new experience, new learning, new taste, right? Especially if you're a foodie, you want to taste a new food items when you travel, if you want to experience a new things, because that is what the new experience comes, right? And you travel, you eat something new, you wear something new, you learn something new, you read a book something to understand more. But now you want to taste the product management, or you want to understand that up to you. But you might have seen this world nowadays from long transitions. So what you can do is the self learning is nothing but to read something and understand whether your heart and mind is going to this area, or whether you want to explore more, either in your without help of MBA or certification, you want to do it yourself with the experience of in the current organization, or you want to do something different. So this is something as a part of, I would say it's a 2022 starting, and you should have something to learn new thing, right? As you say, should do data learning, machine learning, all those things you might have kept in your uh, mind or behind your mind for, right? And if you have this product management, these are the places what you should do. First is check with your organization whether you have the change from project to product mindset. And there might be a different product coaches, what I said, right? Or a different organization helping with different materials, or the providing a platform for case studies, hackathons, like that, right? So that is the first step. And use the same structure that helps you to change from your current role to product management, or to showcase the same thing in your current day-to-day work. Otherwise, if you have, nowadays everyone will have the LinkedIn learning or some learning materials linked to your organization. Go and search for product management guide, or follow these what we call the websites or the platform, right? The product school, mind the product, PM school, product teacher, product frameworks. So if you have just put follow one group and understand the tools and frameworks for all the phases what I explained in the starting of the slide, and follow some of the product managers leaders, right, in LinkedIn, and they will post something which might interest to learn for that day, for example, right? And then just to keep that in mind also, that there is a scope that you can also be a product manager one day with doing these learnings. Then we have a NASCOM, as we have for Agile Network India, right? We have a similar kind NASCOM product or the groups which talks more on this, and you can be part of that. And the Medium blogs, nowadays it's more on mediums or blogging. Read them and understand and taste them accordingly. And when you are into ready for transition, you have to do a lot of case studies. You have to you can have a participation in hackathons which is happening. Do some mock interviews with your coach or mentor. And then when you're ready, you are now to go for the self branding, the internal transitions, putting that in your proper resume and talking about more the communication, the collaboration with your stakeholders to tell about the product management. that is where you land into a transition into product management internally. I always advise internally because everyone needs a coach, right? You have to internally transition is the smoothest one instead of external, because you have that you know your organization, you already aligned with your internal stakeholders that you are interested in this area. So this makes life simple. So that is more on self learning to understand, and previously what I talked about product management and the whole topic discussion for transition into product management world. Thank you. Thank you for listening, and I'm open for questions.
Yeah, so we have a couple of questions from Bharti and from RC Girl. So we'll go with the first one. This is the question. So we can consider each assignment / activity as project identifying objective / purpose and tracking the journey towards success. Then project management mindset is needed in all types of product management. Well, it looks like, yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kedar. No, go ahead, Kedar.
Well, I think this is more of a kind of an added point that Mr. Goel wants to add in to the conversation that we just had. But would you like to elaborate a little more on this one, Manasa?
Yeah, sure. So that's true. I think Mr. Goyal was mentioning right more on we have a purpose and the product, and when you want to deliver something, project mindset will come. So his thought is more on a product mindset is a bigger picture, and project mindset is what we call subset of that. So I would say the project, actually now if you see, I'm sure that will be vanished soon from the dictionary itself. That is because the project, they always come up with saying let's, when the project word started for anyone is when you're doing some degree, right? They will ask, let us do this project, let us do this one. So they are telling it's only a timeline bounded or a process for certain period, and it vanishes after you complete the project, right? There won't be anything. So and I want to link this question to other also who asked what is the difference between project mindset and product mindset. So because it's interlinked and it's a subset. So what is changing is definitely you will start with the purpose and you will come up with phases to achieve that in Agile 1. Then it will say it's more on the project or the process inside the product delivery. But if you see the project is something is a totally different happening comparing to this all PMP related stuff, right? The process and all. But ultimately they are going to link to the product mindset only. So the process what we follow to the product delivery will be varying across based on the customer need and the market need. So it's all more under the customer and market umbrella. If it is more on that, you will follow a different process or a mindset or a route to achieve your product and purpose for your customers, right? So that is the one. So what I would say, you may definitely do the project again, but it will be linked to a product as you're talking. And also more on a project is a totally different changing the world to see how the agile came up, right? For example, there should be trust, collaboration, transparency, and always ask the customer, and you deliver a software over a documentation or something, right? That is what the product is talking same. Work with your customer, understand your customer, deliver for that. Don't do anything else. For example, what project used to do, right? In the waterfall method. So that is the change happening from last decade, and that is the difference between project mindset and product mindset. Even though your organization calling that, soon it will be changing to a product mindset, even irrespective of a service company, product company, or any other companies like that. I think Mr. Goyal wants to come and speak up, or that is what I see some message from him.
Yes,
Yeah, go.
Manas, my thought is more from concept point of view, not the word as project.
I believe we
And
lost
that's why
you,
I
Mr.
mentioned
Goel.
you have a purpose which is an objective of a project, and then you track it.
Are you all
So
able
the
to hear
concept,
Mr. Goel,
are you
or
able to
is it?
hear?
Yes, yes, Goel, I can hear. Kedar, can you hear me? I can hear Goel. Goel is audible.
Yes. So
Yeah.
a long time back, when I was in a working environment, there used to be concept of functions and departments, and some organization thought of projectizing the organization. That means all activities are considered as project. The purpose of calling it as project is keep a track what is happening to achieve your purpose, whether you are in a HR or finance or administration or anywhere. So this mindset of tracking the purpose towards its success is conceptually called, as I understand, as a project management. And that is intrinsic, it should be with you, doesn't matter whatever product development you are doing. What you mentioned about documentation, etc., they are more detailing, and that is changing with the time in any case, agile or no agile. The digitization itself, making you change the way you put your thought. That's what I meant. Sorry,
Yeah,
interrupting you.
yeah, no, no. This is very good that you're sharing the experience, right? Or you are also seeing what is happening, especially in tracking, right? So tracking comes with the project, as you said, but ideally it's again the product also in itself tracks it. So what is happening with your product, which stage it is happening, whether I said learn, build, or measure, right? The same thing comes in the product mindset also. So the project is just the process or different ways to tackle the uh, blockers or tracking of the things happening one. So that is more on that area. But I believe that we are not long or taking time to change this from every team members or the every aspects of our organization is achieving some product deliveries kind or working for a product from thinking the customer first, right? And also the market need. It's both. So agile is more, or the project is more on process or thinking the customer, but the product or the lean agile, how it evolved, right? It's more on the market also. It's not only to think from the customer, but it's also the post development of what happens in the market. So that is more on lean and the product mindset of the safe related stuff, right?
Well, I have a question more on this topic, an interesting topic, in fact, which was waiting to go through. So I hail from an IT infrastructure background, but more into project management. So how key are the skills that I hold? Let's say I hold the skills more on the IT infrastructure front and not on the software development, which is what most of the product managers that I have been following is the path that they follow. So how or what would you suggest for roles like me who are into IT infrastructure and into project management?
Yeah, yeah, this is a very good point because IT infrastructure, which is will be evolving a lot after the pandemic. Pandemic means it's like keeping an eye on market or the change happening in the world. The IT related one, either IT operation, IT assets, or IT strategy. So how it has evolved, if you just see, right? 20 years back, we used to have an IT admin sitting in one of the floor, and everyone reaches taking their laptop if some issues happen and they want to deploy something and all those things, the servers, and how it evolved in the market, right? And the market is evolving because user or change is happening, either for example of pandemic or previously the non-pandemic of anything of related to domains, right? The healthcare domain, the finance domain, and the data domain, for example, right? How the data is getting misused, or cyber security, everything. So for you even though you think you're doing the project management of IT strategy related or anything, there is a scope someone is asking you to do that because they are doing that work before you as a leader, for example, right, based on the organization, and they are doing the same thing, and that is called as a product mindset. So now you have to understand, since you know you are a customer or you're tracking the progress of your project, for example, right? And also Goyal, what he mentioned, Mr. Goyal said that we are doing some for some purpose or a vision of your organization of IT or vision of your organization of other things. So that is what is more talking about. So for you to change, it's more on understanding more what is happening in these tools and technology, what is the market change happening with the needs, and what is more on how the requirements coming to you to track it, for example, right? You want to be that part. So you want to understand the market, knowing your customer, design thinking of that. Then the tracking is automatically done in the product management itself with using the framework or the tools, and developing again if there is a change in the market or what you measure to do that. So IT strategy is evolving accordingly and thinking from the prediction of changing happening in next 3 years and acting accordingly for that is what the product talks about. So for you to look, there is an ocean of opportunities to think, and being innovative in the IT changes happening, that is what where you can land in any of these areas, which area you want to do, the pre or the post, instead of just tracking the development, right? And what is happening pre and post thing is what you have to concentrate more when you want to try this or taste the product management world.
Sure. Thank you, Manasa.
Yeah.
I think we also have an interesting point coming in from Himanshu. Again, this is more of a discussion that we've had. So he's just adding a point wherein in product management we have one common product goal in mind, and we keep the agile framework moving forward, which was actually missing in the project management. I can relate to it because if you ask me, I was doing traditional project management in my current organization, and and it has been changing now because of this product mindset, as you mentioned. Yeah.
So yeah, as I said, you will see it very quickly or it will be seeing very late based on which stage you are. So as Imanshu said, he might have already seen this turbulence, the changes happening due to project to product mindset, right? So to uh, it's again, as I said, it's a cultural change how agile came into picture from the waterfall related, right? The same thing, the project tracking to product tracking, for example, right? So there will be a drastic change or a little change happening, and they will look for those experience. So you have to prepare yourself well, otherwise, as I said, you are a product, human is a product, right? So you will be uh, a problematic situation or a failure situation if we are not tackling this, right? It's the same, the market fit, if we are not fitting to the market for this change, it's not viable for any business organization to consider you as a product itself. So that is the mindset you have to bring, either personally or professionally or even from the organization level if required.
Thank you again, Manasa. I think we are reaching at the top of the hour. So
Oh, okay.
just wanted to check. Yes. So we just have a minute remaining
Okay.
for the end of the session. So a quick one to the audience. Do we have any other questions for Manasa?
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Shailesh.
Yeah, Shailesh, go ahead.
Salesh.
Actually, I have a question. I think here all are experienced people. I am a fresher and I am a management student. So the fundamental question in my about what is the difference between project management and product management? Because when we saw many of openings happen. So they mention about the product and they mention Jira, all those things, and the syllabus which we have in our curriculum, product management, it more towards about the user's standpoints of view. So when we go inside for a placement or when we go for the a new opening, so what skills we required? I'm not asking about certification, but what is the main fundamental knowledge we should know about it as a fresher point of
Yeah,
view?
yeah. So as I said, it is evolving, right? Previously, the project management or the talks whatever happens to tracking was using Excel sheet. There was a charts, there were so many dashboards or even timeline added in the Excel sheet. Then the tool came up like Jira or Azure DevOps or Miro or Trello, all those things, right? These are the tools helping to track the project in past. For example, when it came again 10-15 years back, it's the same story. So, but now if you see, they mention for product tracking also, the tool has evolved accordingly. You might see in Jira how you want to do a persona. When you write a user story, which user segment or persona it impacts. So that is how the tool is evolving to the product management or product tracking. So I want to emphasize same because there will the tool itself is changing because the market is changing, the organization is changing from project to product mindset. So that is why tool is getting changed. Otherwise the tool won't be useful because there won't be any users for how we used to you have a Nokia and the other Android phones now, right? So that vanish or changes is happening, and we have to act on market needs and the customer needs, right? And adding the technology feasibility is just a flavor of adding a spices for you to concentrate more on product management as a MBA student is more on understanding the customer and the market and how you want to track it in the product one, right? So the project is more on a timeline given. So once that is done, that project is done. But product is not that. You have to come up with the product mindset that until you have a user and a market, you have to do your work. There is no end for a product. But for project, they say this is the timeline we are delivering this feature, for example, and our project is done. And they don't worry who is your customer, what is happening after your project ends, who will be the user, what is the measure. You are measuring more on the process or the track, but it's not more on understanding your user, right? Or the measure of your product success or the metrics used for that. But in product mindset, that is what keen to do. And as I said, that is the change happening in the world for this decade or for from previous decade and future decades also is how you want to track it, how you want to execute the product mindset using different tools, process framework. That is the change you want to do. So you have to portray that experience when you're communicating or when you're storytelling your experience of your case studies as an intern, for example, and then think of more in this world.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. And just last question to add. For a product management, see, there are many things in our mind as we are all student. The fundamental when I ask any student, can we go with the product management subject or can we try? So the questions come up, hey, I don't have a technical knowledge. For a product management, yes, I know that there is you need a technology, you want
Yeah.
some experience, then and then only company will hire. So what's take on it? What is it? It's important to have a
Mm,
technical knowledge.
no. There is no need of technology required. So that's what you said based on your experience and knowledge and link to that to particular product management area, right? So technology is just as I said, it's just to check whether you can do the solve a problem using technology, but you can still solve for your user without technology also. Technology is just a media or a platform. If you're having some problem with farming technologies or farming waste, right, you have to solve that in a different solution. There is always a technology is just to make it life simple. I would say, if you might have seen the Three Idiot movie, right? Anything which solves a user problem is called as a mission. How we explain that. So using a mission and technology is just to make it life simple, but there are other ways to do the same solution for a product management to solve the user and to introduce into a market. So technology is just a small part to check the feasibility, how you want to solve that. Similarly comes to a technical PMs to see, they will say, I don't have domain understanding, I don't have business knowledge, whether I can be a product manager. Again, I would say you can master in your technology things and be a technical PM, and think of just you are understanding the pre and the post part to do that, so that you can do the cross functional team discussion and communication for that. So that your attitude towards your stakeholders is what, and how you tackle that in your communication skills, to portray yourself as a product manager, enthusiast, or a experience, or an intern. That is the just how you showcase that one, right? So I would say that one, you don't need a domain skills, you don't need a technical skills, you just need to do the basic understanding of the world and which area you want to aspire and be part of that in your organization.
Thank you, madam. Thanks for
Yeah.
the insight.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Manasa, for an
Yeah.
insightful session, which is really of much needed help for most of us. Well, I think we have come at the top of the hour, and
Yeah, I got that.
well, I would like to thank you for this exciting session that we've had today.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks again.
Thanks.
It was
Over
nice
to you.
talking and good questions. Welcome all of you for learning and to this change. As in Indians, we are towards that change. Let us prepare ourselves for that.
Thank you, Kedar. Thank you for facilitating wonderfully. Thanks, Mansa, for a insightful session.